A bus goes by, making the walls shake. You sigh and get to work. Okay, here we go. Okay, autopsy report, victim 3. Like how Dimitro says this game is not bad? Yeah, so far it's really intriguing. Promising football player, victim or a great football coach. Okay, how does... This will be a lot of thinking. Okay, 3 clues discovered. Oh dear. Killer height is less than 180. Picture of crime scene, new clue. So they connect already automatically. Picture of crime scene 2. Okay, she's... So she's victim 3? I thought these were all suspects. Okay, what is this? Message on crime scene 3, time is up. Message on crime scene 2, you deserve this? Why are they both connected to this? Okay, what's the killer case? Four clues discovered. Oh dear, what a mess. Oh god. That execution. Killer left message in chalk on first 3 crime scenes. I can't move these around. Okay. Okay, that's it. That's all we can do. I guess. Okay, let's end the night. With a heavy hand, you wipe your tired face. You pull open the sofa bed, which unfolds with an unpleasant creak. You collapse onto the mattress. The events of the day run through your head. The streets, the passengers, their faces, their problems. You open one eye. For a second there, you hoped the evidence board was just a dream too. But you can make it out in the shadows. You get up quickly. And a few minutes later, you're outside of your studio. Okay, here we go. What is that eye? Oh, am I automatically going to it? Oh, listen to the radio. You park a few streets away from the Argentinian embassy. You wait there for your contact. You sigh. It seems so odd to have a contact, so excessive. The guy is one of your regular poker buddies, a night watchman at the embassy. You get out of your taxi and walk towards the big metal gate, clean lines. Early 20th century maybe. Lots of wrought iron. The gate opens and someone moves toward you. They indicate you should follow them. The person's face is hidden by an oversized hoodie. Your heart starts beating faster. What if it was... Follow. You walk into a narrow covered passageway, probably the entrance to a parking garage. The man turns around and lights up a cigarette. The lighter lights up his face for a second. A young man with curly hair, pale skin. He looks young, very young. That'll be 250 euros. What? You want information on Gorodischer? I got info on Gorodischer. It'll cost you 250 euros. So what'll it be? Bargain? He raises his hands in front of his chest. His accent becomes stronger. No. It's 250 euros, or nothing. If someone learns I fished around, they'll fire me on the spot. I don't want to pay money for something I didn't even know that I was gonna do. Didn't know this is gonna end that way. Don't pay. You see disappointment on the young man's face. Something's holding him back. Okay, listen, give me 200 and we're good, okay? Okay, fine. For that price, you hope the intel is good. You pay. Listen up, because I'm not gonna say it twice. Gorodischer is definitely a colonel from the junta. One of the few who wasn't arrested and put on trial. He is responsible for torturing dozens of political opponents. He tortured and killed them. You know, we don't like him much here, but the rich Argentinians in Paris love him. They really respect him. Is that all? I read in the newspaper that the killer wrote a message in chalk. Time's up. It was a slogan at the end of the junta. A sort of watchword from the opponents. It was time for them to go. You get it? You nod. A second later, you're back in your taxi with a hole in your wallet but with new information on one of the victims. If you follow this lead, maybe your investigation will move forward. You start the car and get back to your shift. I go to Mitro says Jamie can be the killer, maybe? Yeah, what I'm confused about is on the board it kind of said suspects, but at the same time they're victims too. So, I don't know. Guess it's gonna take a bit longer to figure that out. Your finger is poised in front of the car radio. You're trying to find something to listen to. Listen to the news. You happen upon the nighttime news. In between two boring stories, you hear that DJ, a star of the French music scene back in the 90s, was found dead in his home. They give no other details, but you wonder for a second if they're not talking about your passenger. As soon as the news is over, you turn the radio off so that the cab is silent again. That's sad. Okay, let's go pick up this woman. Three businessmen in impeccable suits are coming out of a nightclub. They shake hands. What? That disappeared. A beautiful woman climbs into your cab. There is something sensual and comforting about her. No, I just missed it, but don't worry, I'm taking a cab. Anyhow, I just wanted you to know. For a minute, you think she's talking to herself, but she leans over and whispers her address to you. I think you really enjoyed it today. As you start the cab, you notice a hands-free headset practically hidden by her thick head of hair. I'll massage his feet tomorrow and I'll let you do the rest. A small laugh escapes her. Or the other way around, sure. And cruise? It's normal to feel a little awkward at first or uncomfortable. I mean, not knowing what to do. But you'll see, a couple more days and you'll get the hang of it. Anyhow, you should get to bed now. You need to keep up your strength. She stopped talking. Her phone call is over. She catches your eye in the rearview mirror and bursts out laughing. You look shocked. Not at all. Your passenger crosses her legs and gives you a playful pout. I don't believe you. You're letting your imagination run wild. What exactly were you imagining? That I'm on my way home from a threesome or something? There's a mischievous gleam in eye. Could be. She lowers her gaze and turns her head, serious all of a sudden. But I'm not. The truth isn't that rosy. Actually, I was at my son's house. Say nothing. I've been taking care of him since his accident. I'm a nurse. His accident? That's right. He was supposed to meet his father for a rugby match. He was in a hurry. He tried to pass a truck on the right as he was leaving the highway. The driver didn't see him. Her voice trails off. I don't know how he managed it, not to die on the spot. That's really tough. And all that just to see a rugby match. Her smile is playful, full of life. I mean, ever since he was little, I tried to get him interested in soccer. And see what happened. A smile of dry amusement flickers across your passenger's face. Anyway, he's been in a coma for weeks now. Grade 2. Not a total vegetable, but not all the hearty either. So I had to move him to his place. Cruz and I are taking care of him now. Cruz? His fiancée. A lovely girl. Your passenger puts her hand on her mouth to smother a giggle. Totally inhibited but sweet. Very religious. She prays in Spanish at his bedside every night. They've been going out for 2 years now and I still don't think they've... She blushes. Well, you know. Brief silence. You find yourself trying to think of something to say. How are you holding up? The passenger doesn't answer right away. You're afraid you embarrassed her, but her face looks relaxed. I work in palliative care, you know. I've spent the last 8 years of my life taking care of people who are going to die. The only question worth asking is, how long before they die? It helps keep things in perspective. In my son's case, there's still hope, and at least I can help. I mean, I know how to do it anyhow. For one thing, there's the day-to-day stuff. Nails, hair, beard, it all grows like crazy. There's a lot of maintenance, like a gardener. Same for the teeth. We have to brush them every now and then. Because believe me, if Titoten wakes up looking and smelling like a werewolf, we'll never hear the end of it. A smile escapes you. Your passenger sees it in the rearview mirror and is clearly pleased. But the biggest risk is not being able to move. Our bodies are meant to move. I know, it's hard to believe when our alarm clocks go off, but it's true. Our blood circulation stops working correctly, our skin gets cold, loses its elasticity. So we have to massage him as often as we can. And then there are all the bed sores. Do you know what bed sores are? I think so. In the hospital, there are a lot of patients who are still conscious and who have bed sores. Their bodies are racked up with pain. It's like being skinned alive. The worst part is, we have to change their bandages twice a day. Your passenger shudders briefly. What I mean is, I'm glad Titoten isn't conscious. But hey, that's enough of my sob story. Let me tell you something funny instead. Earlier tonight, when Cruz and I were washing Titoten, not exactly a pleasure cruise. My son is well over 6 feet tall, and Cruz is a cross between a matchstick and a Q-tip. So I was managing as best as I could, rolling him onto one side and then the other. She was trying to help, though. The truth is, it's pretty hard for her to take. I mean, it's all new to her. It can't be that much fun. So she was muttering a religious mumbo-jumbo to herself in Spanish, Dios mío, and whatnot. And just as I was rolling Titoten back on his back, guess what? He got an enormous erection! Laugh. For once, you start to laugh. Your passenger joins in. The two of you enjoy a good long laugh. After a while, your passenger manages to catch her breath. A big old hard-on. How did Cruz react? First she turned bright red, then she pulled the sheet up over him as fast as she could. Your passenger marks a short pause to emphasize what's coming. But it looked even worse! Just like Casper the Ghost. Peals of warm laughter fill the air. For a moment you are happy, as if a weight had been lifted. You pull up to the address she had given you. You stop the cab and she hands you the fare. Thanks for the conversation, the ride went by really fast. She reaches for the door, then stops. You can sense she's really on edge. It's good to be able to talk. It's pretty unusual in Paris to meet someone so warm. Good luck. She shrugs automatically, as if she didn't understand what you meant. Same to you. She shuts the door carefully, then walks away. Your eye follows her as she climbs the steps to the door of her building. A moment later, she's gone. You feel something surfacing, dark thoughts, pictures, memories. The bed sores she talked about. You notice a newspaper on the back seat. Your last passenger must have left it behind, or the one before. You grab it and put it away. Could come in handy. You turn the key in the ignition and drive away. Okay, that was the most fun passenger we had so far. Can't they all be like this? That was a great passenger. It was great. Okay. Who's next? Well, let's go with this angry looking guy, I guess. Read the newspaper. No. Okay, let's go with angry looking guy. Passenger climbs into the cab and slams the door shut behind him. Good evening. Plain St. Denis, please. He stops short, visibly sizing you up. Do you know where it is? You nod yes. Avenue, Des Magasin's Generoaks. So you know the street. Yes, sure. He looks at you intently. You know all the streets of Paris? His question drips with disbelief. You know his kind, well, the sort of who'd refer to you as the Arab, and not bat an eyelid. Yes, I do, monsieur. He seems hesitant. Well then, let's go. You start the cab. Your client stares out the window as if hypnotized. You watch him in the rearview mirror. His face is familiar to you, his accent too, though you'd never be able to place it. Typical of some rural region, central France perhaps. You take another look. That's it, you've got it. He was a contestant on one of those reality shows where farmers meet women. You'd seen him on the show a few weeks before. You'd watched it from your hospital bed with a distracted eye. But something about it had bothered you. The show was a masquerade, life in the country seen from a very Parisian and cynical perspective, full of scorn and contempt. Okay then, you figured out who I am? His remark and his accent bring you back to the present. Sorry? You've recognized me, right? So you can make fun of me now. Make fun of you? He shrugs. Yeah, like all those other people do out there on that there Tweety thing. Tweety? It takes you a second to realize he's talking about social media. I don't know what you mean by that. You mean you don't know who I am? You hesitate before answering. Yes, I do. I do, yes. Some kind of reality show, huh? Exactly. But why do people make fun of you? He heaves a long sigh as if letting off steam. His drawl has become more pronounced. At first, the show was okay, and then I started seeing my face all over TV, on other shows, And then I found out the internet is laughing at me too. There are those things. I can't remember what they're called. Moms, mams, memes. You know, those pictures that move all by themselves on the damn internet. You have no idea what he's talking about. He's talking about memes. Not politely. So I made myself a Tweety account to go and see what they're saying about me. Calling me a virgin and a Nazi, that I screw my cows too. He looks away as if someone else had spoken the words. They practically die laughing, a farmer who doesn't want to finish the sentence. So yesterday, I said I'd had it. I called my cousin to keep an eye on my farm and I left for Paris. I'm on my way to see those TV jokers right now. 6 months ago, they said if there was any problem whatsoever, they'd take care of it. Well, there is a problem. His anger has subsided somewhat. His face is returning to its normal color. What's your plan? I'll guess I have a plan. I'm going to show up at their office and raise Cain until they listen to me. You're really going to do that? Yeah, that's the plan. He gives an energetic nod of the head. And believe me, they're going to listen. I may be just a plain old farmer, but nobody's gonna disrespect me. Excuse me a second. There we go. And he squares his shoulders as if to fend off the attacks. Forget it. His eyes half closed, he practically grows the words. There is a palpable air of sadness about him. At first, I told him I didn't want to be on their stupid old show. It wasn't for me. But they insisted. They showed me pictures of the women. He lowers his eyes. And then, well, I said yes. Should never have said yes. You pull up to the address he gave you. The studio gates are still closed. You park the cab and cut the engine. Is it closed? You nod yes. It doesn't open until 6. You point to a sign posted near the gates. He sighs. But there'll be hardly anyone here before 9 or 10 o'clock. I don't care, I'll wait. He rummages through his pockets and pulls out a wallet. What are you going to ask them? I want them to apologize on TV during the show, in front of everyone. To talk about all the things they changed, all the bits of sentences they cut up and put back together. Fixes his gaze on you, his eyes narrow. You know, I'm not racist. His voice is low and raspy. Don't believe the show. I didn't mean what I said, and I didn't really say that stuff either. What exactly did you say? He stops short. Nothing. He avoids your gaze, then all at once says, a lot of nonsense. He fixes his gaze on you, visibly moved. I'm not very good at this. I've been... He chokes up, gesturing with a hand as if to make it all disappear. When he starts up again, he's on the verge of tears. Anyhow, I'll just wait here until it opens. The passenger pays the fare and exits the cab. You watch him for a minute as he starts his vigil in front of the gates. You notice a newspaper on the back seat. Your last passenger must have left it behind, or the one before. You grab it and put it away. It'd come in handy. Do I have 2 newspapers now? Here, let's read the newspaper. You pull a newspaper out of your glove compartment and start leafing through it. Eventually, something grabs your eye. It's an article about the recent police leaks incident that retraces another data leak. 2 years ago, a bunch of confidential police documents were accidentally released. Documents about Ronan Besson, Charles Bograin, and Simon Gorodischer, the judge's first 3 victims. Intriguing. You turn the page and stop. You've read about a third of the newspaper. Keep reading? You stop reading and go back a few pages. You thought you saw something. It's a rather enthusiastic article about a bard named Napo. You make a note of the information with interest. In your line of work, that kind of thing can always come in handy. You only have a third left to read. Read the whole thing. As soon as you get to the page you stop, your instinct tells you to look at. It's a short, rather messy article stuck between 2 ads informing you that the police have taken the president's campaign manager in for questioning. He's being blamed for discrepancies in the campaign's accounts. You shut the paper. It'll end up in the trash tonight. If you remember it's there, otherwise it will spend the rest of its days in your glove compartment. Okay, let's pick up this guy. You pull up to the sidewalk to pick up the passenger who ordered a cab. You can just make him out, surrounded by 5 or 6 cops, an all too familiar scene. Every so often the low ominous tones of an officer's voice make it to your ear. The circle of cops breaks up. You see your passenger. He heads over to the cab and gets in. He slams the door and lets rip. Motherfucking cops. He gives you his address and you start the car. The passenger stares out the window at the passing road as if to calm himself. You take a quick look in the rearview mirror. Everything alright? Yeah, sure. They're afraid to lay a finger on us nowadays. Don't want to get blown up. An ironic half smile appears on his face, then immediately disappears. He knows a bad joke when he hears one. What a fucking pain in the ass. Can't go out without getting screwed by each and every one of those son of a bitches. If you're not wearing a goddamn beret, if you happen to be wearing sweatpants, then yeah, right, you're a fucking hood. He smirks wryly, then raises his voice an octave. Your papers, please. He sighs, his voice back to normal. Yeah, sure, shove your aunt's cock up your frigging ass, buddy. Say nothing. Your passenger is looking out the window. The road passes by. There's very little traffic at this time of night. Only a few delivery trucks and worn-out drivers. Your passenger catches your eye in the rearview mirror and reluctantly removes something from his jacket pocket. The shape, it looks like a book, a paperback, with a white cover. What are you reading? The passenger seems surprised by the question, or perhaps by your familiar tone. He hesitates for a moment or two, then answers. The Count of Monte Cristo. Alexandre Dumas. All of a sudden the passenger seems terribly young to you, like a naughty child caught red-handed. I read it once a long time ago. He steadies his gaze on you. Yeah, it's pretty cool. The main guy, you know, he's really pissed off. He catches your eye in the rearview mirror. He realizes he's not all worked up anymore. It's my, girlfriend who gave it to me. She likes Dumas? Yeah, I think so. She's into all that historical stuff. To me it was a real drag at first, but... He lets out a sigh. She forced me a little, and then I realized that Monte Cristo, he's one of us. I meant his story. It's a lot like what goes on today. But I introduced her to new stuff too. There are like these texts, you know, rap lyrics that she really likes. You should see her, putting on a show and all. But the truth is, she actually likes it. It's the same thing with reading, right? I mean, it had to be properly explained to me. I had to want to try it. And that was it, man. I was on my way. He looks down. A short time later, you pull up the address given by your fare. It's a low, rather unattractive building. The passenger passes you the money for the ride. I have to go. I punch in early tomorrow. He pauses, eyeing the time on the radio's LCD display. Or later on, I should say. A moment later, he vanishes into the night. 19-cent tip? Boo. Hey, we have time for another ride. Okay, let's go. You notice a cat sitting on the roof of a parked off to the side. You get... Why does it even appear if it disappears so quickly. Charge the goal? Make it snappy? Oh dear, we're gonna have a fun one. The passenger who settles into the back seat could be a male model. He asks you to take him to Charles de Gaulle Airport. His voice is mild and pleasant. You sense your passenger wants to talk about the killer. It's simple. Since the first murder, everyone thinks they know something. Everyone thinks they saw something. And this passenger is no exception. You watch him and in the rearview mirror as he adjusts his clothes, checks his breath, obviously primping. You drive people to the airport all the time. They bring along a suitcase or a bouquet of flowers. Your passenger doesn't have either. He's looking at himself in the rearview mirror, his lips part, and he runs his tongue over his teeth. Nothing stuck in my teeth, right? You shake your head no. You wonder why he is going to the airport. You're wondering why I'm going to the airport, aren't you? Yes. I could tell you were curious. I'll tell you, but it's a secret. His voice has changed, as if he were about to deliver a speech. Women today are too smart for us men. Too smart. They're onto us the minute we try to hit on them. He crinkles his nose, as if there were bad smell in the cab. There are dozens of books on how to get lucky, on how to score, but they all make the same big mistake. Do you know what the mistake I'm talking about is? They're written by men. I don't see why that's a problem. After all, deer don't write books on hunting, do they? He smirks. No, let me tell you. All those books about hitting on women never tell you where the best hunting grounds are. A theatrical pause. Airports. Another theatrical pause. It's brilliant, right? Women in airports are lonely, emotional, and available. On the street, they're always in a hurry, don't have any time. At the movies or in museums, they don't want to be disturbed. At the airport. He's clearly very proud of himself. You remain silent. He crinkles his nose and sniffs again. Is it me? Or is there a funny smell in your cab? You sniff too. Sorry, I don't smell anything. He shrugs, then goes back to his monologue. Personally, I prefer older women. Let him talk. Single moms who are at the airport to pick up or send their kids to their exes. They are waiting at the unaccompanied minors counter to get information about a late flight or a gate change. I walk over to the counter, look at the flight information, pretend to be worried. My sister, I say. I'm waiting for my little sister. She's never been to Paris before. I'm going to take her to the Louvre. She wants to work in fashion someday. She's already very talented. I hope everything's okay, that she had a good flight. She means the world to me. She's my half-sister, but I love her like a sister. I smile. He takes another sniff, glances around the cab, then picks up where he left off. The half-sister line, it works every time. Divorced parents, remarried. Every time. He bursts out laughing. Let him talk. A word of advice though. You have to get there early. Make a day of it. Keep an eye on the domestic flights, the delays, the companies. It requires a little preparation, but I usually go home with 20, even 30 numbers. In 6 hours. Not bad, eh? Another thing. I wouldn't recommend Orly. The counters are a disaster there. You have to go back and forth between the different levels. It's exhausting. And the neon lights, they ruin your eyes. No, Roissy is definitely the way to go. The domestic flights terminal.